Welcome to the Marketing Revolution podcast. This is the underground movement of savage marketers from all over the world. We are not Fortune 500 companies. We are real entrepreneurs with real businesses that have one major thing in mind: to set goals and devour them daily. Because we understand that everyone wants to eat, but only savage marketers are willing to do the hunt. Now let's get this revolution started. Hey, what's happening, everybody? John Hiley here with the Marketing Revolution podcast. I'm going to start a little series here, and what I'm actually doing for those of you who may be listening on the podcast, or for those of you who may be watching on YouTube or something like that, I am going to be doing these all live on my Facebook page, which is John Hiley Success. All right, Facebook. John Hiley Success / John Hiley Success. And that's the key, guys. I mean, here's why I'm doing this. I mean, literally, there's a lot of people out there who are so-called entrepreneurs, they're so-called advertisers. I mean, there's this flood of individuals out there that literally have no track record whatsoever. They have no other tangible business other than trying to sell you how to create your own business, all right? So literally there's people out there that are making money by just selling you the idea of how to make money, all right? Which is kind of crazy because, I mean, literally you'd have to be doing the same exact thing they're doing if you were to be successful at this, all right? So, I just want to get that out of the way. As you guys know, if you've listened to some of the previous episodes with me and the wifey, that we are out here, we're in the field, we're doing it, and we have done it. So we've built, tangible businesses as far as service-based businesses. We've built an educational company that's currently the business that I'm basically that's the one that I'm just full-time involved in, is our educational company. Some of you guys might know that we do events across the country, and and so many other little things that we have going on. We got several different podcasts that are going on. We sell tools, so we actually got into manufacturing, a lot of different stuff that all circles around the automotive industry. So that being said, the things that I'm going to talk about in this podcast are things that get real results. And I'm telling you guys right here, if you follow what I'm telling you to do on this podcast, you will get the same results, all right? You will get whatever, I like to say that basically people get what they will, whatever point in life that you're willing to tolerate, that's what you're going to get, all right? You know what I mean? So we can always become bigger. We can always become better. We can always push ourselves forward. Literally, we're going to get what we're willing to tolerate in our own life. Now, for me, that's very, very hard because I really can't, I can never be stagnant. The moment that I feel like I'm stagnant or I'm not moving forward or I'm not doing something bigger and better is I start to get depressed. I mean, I start to basically, I start feeling bad about, my current situation. No matter how much I've accomplished in the past, no matter how much I've accomplished yesterday, no matter how much I've accomplished a year before now, if I'm not doing something today, it starts working on me. So I'm convinced that moving towards a mission, moving towards a bigger goal, moving towards something amazing in your life is the key to happiness. It's not necessarily what you get or what you receive, but it's moving towards that goal, okay? And I think a lot of people really don't get that. A lot of entrepreneurs, they think, well, if I make this amount of money, I'm going to be happy. Well, if I land this big deal, it's all going to be good. I'm going to be happy. If I build this building and, hire a few more people, I'm going to be happy. But the truth of the matter is the happiness is in the pursuit of that. It's almost like a game. And the moment you quit playing, actually, it is like a game. But the moment you quit playing and the moment that you lay down your controller is the moment that there's nothing left, in my opinion, like man, woman, whatever you want to call it, we have these things in our heart that literally we have to have a bigger mission. We have to have something that we're moving towards, and we have to have something that like right now that we're actually chasing. We're in the hunt, okay? I mean, you know, it's great to eat, you know, and I'm guilty of not spending enough time celebrating victories. I really am. I mean, I had a huge victory over Black Friday and Cyber Monday, all the way to the point to where, I mean, it was the best month that we had ever had in the educational company. And I mean, yeah, I celebrated it for a minute, but I was on to something else right away. And I really didn't. I like to say, obviously, if you go back to you know, the caveman days or something like that, you know, the joy was in the hunt, right? But then you also enjoyed probably eating that food. But then tomorrow you're going to be hungry again. And I want you guys to think about that. I mean, literally everything in the world has that. It kind of resembles something in our past, right? And I truly believe that we're out in the business field. We're out there in the business world, or whatever, you know, service that you're in, whatever business that you're in. You're literally in a hunt, okay? And once you capture what's ahead of you, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be hungry 2 days from now. It just means that you won at that moment. All right. So celebrate your win, and then just remember that tomorrow or the day after that, you know, you're going to be hungry again. You're either going to be hungry or you're going to be depressed. I mean, I know if you're anybody's listening, if you guys are listening to this podcast, you're entrepreneurs, right? You know, or you're inspiring entrepreneurs, or you're a wannabe entrepreneur, or you're a wannabe marketer, or you're a marketer. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is, like, you if you listen to this podcast, you have that desire, you have that drive, okay? And I'm not like cracking down on anybody who wants to be a marketer, who wants to be an entrepreneur. That's all good, man. We all start there, man. And this podcast is designed to give you some concrete foundation to walk on. No bullshit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know the key to happiness. All right. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I understand every single aspect of marketing there is, and I have nothing else to learn. Because the moment that you actually feel that you have nothing else to learn is the moment that you are stupid. Like, you literally become dumb at that exact, the very exact moment. And I think so many people, you see that in politics, you see that in spirituality. I mean, you see that in so many aspects, that once somebody gets to the point to where they literally stick their fingers in their ears, la 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 la, I don't want to hear anything else, I know everything. They basically become stupid. They are stupid at that point, okay? Because only intelligent people will keep their mind open and know that it's part of our inner soul, part of what's inside of us, that we don't know it all, that maintains that pursuit that keeps us happy. All right. So if that makes sense, that keeps us happy. It's literally, it's pouring happiness into our heart when we're learning new things, when we're building things, when we're becoming better than we were yesterday. Okay. Nobody wants to be at the point to where they're the best they can absolutely be in any pursuit. Okay. Like, literally, you can always become better. You can always become sharper. So, you know, I want to talk a little bit about something here, guys. And it's a book that I read recently. And let me see if I can actually look it up on my phone here. But I'll kind of give you the premise of the book. And I want to say it's called Catching a Fire. I could be completely wrong about that. It's been a little while since I read the book, but I was like chilling out here, and I was kind of thinking about what I was going to talk about on this podcast. And I was like, man, you know, I just listened to a couple recent podcasts that was kind of talking about this loosely, this premise, this kind of like this new way of doing business. And I'll just kind of start off while I'm looking for the book. I'll actually tell you guys. I know it's actually called Stealing Fire. And talks about how Silicon Valley is kind of revolutionizing or kind of changing the front that we're doing business on by adopting techniques that are proven, that have been used all the way from basketball teams to even if you go to SEAL Team 6, the Navy SEALs. And this was actually written by a Navy SEAL, which what it actually talks about in the book, like, literally, the Navy SEAL Team 6 is one of the most elite forces on planet Earth. They're literally I want to say it talks in the book where just the SEAL team alone, there's like $250 million pumped into just their education. So just what's in between these guys' ears, it's like $250 million at any given time is put into this basically war machine that can go in and absolutely just destroy anything. They're the most elite force in the world, absolutely the most elite force. And the whole premise of the book, it talks about, it's called Stealing Fire, right? And where that comes from is Zeus, when he was, because of like the Roman, mythology or whatever you want to call it, the Roman gods ended up like Zeus's son ended up going down and giving the humans the fire, and at that point they awakened, and Zeus ended up taking his son and tying him up in a tree or something like that and having like a bird peck out his eye for the rest of his life because he actually gave the humans this fire, because Zeus said at one point the humans were going to turn on them and they would want to become gods instead of the gods. So that's the premise of the book. And, it's been a little while since I read it. So anyhow, that's the idea, right? But this fire that they're talking about is the exact same thing that happens inside of SEAL Team 6. Literally, when they launched into a building in the middle of the night, where the Taliban is holding up hostages as decoys. And these guys unconsciously connect at a higher level when they're in there, and they pull their mission off flawlessly without killing one person. All right. So it's the same premise, guys. Have you ever been playing a sport, or have you ever just had like an amazing day at whatever, golf or whatever it is that you play, whatever it is that you do, where everything just kind of went flawlessly? Basically, you were in the flow. All right. And it doesn't matter if you're in the flow when it comes to working, if you're in the flow when it comes to a sport. We've seen a lot of our favorite basketball teams that just got into a flow, man. And next thing you know, they were unstoppable. It's like the guy knew where the other guy was in the court without even seeing him. He made that pass without even looking. He got to the point where he could feel the people around him, and they actually end up losing yourself or your sense of being, and you operate as one. And the whole premise of the book is that SEAL Team 6 was the absolute best in the world at this. So when a team came in and fucking just destroyed our enemies, they literally came together as one. Each team member knew where the other one was. Each team member could basically feel the presence of the other team members inside of that building, and they understood. It's like they were almost working and on a different plane, on a different you know what I mean, on a completely different level than what normal people think. Okay. Actually, I read a book one time they actually called that getting into the cyclone. And that's when you start working, or you're in your job, or you're in your business, or maybe you're marketing or something like that, and you actually fall into your work, okay, to the point to where time disappears. I'm going to give you an example of how this happens. So I'm a video editor and a video creator and things like that. And one of the things that happens, what we learn creating videos, that literally, you guys ever sit down and watch a movie, and then all of a sudden you fell into it like it was such a good movie that you lost yourself inside of the movie, right? So that's when you know what I mean? And we actually learn when we're doing video editing that you want to have that feeling, like literally when a really good video is created as a really good video editor, right? And I'm not even saying I'm the best, because I do it more for like marketing, but I know how to capture an audience. I know how to capture somebody in them videos. And one of the things that they talk about is that like you literally fall into that video. You know what I mean? Like your own video that you're creating, you feel yourself fall into it. Now, if there's a moment where you're watching it and you catch yourself like looking down at your watch or something like that, something needs to be there, like a scene change or something like that, right? Because ultimately you want people to fall into that video and, become one with it, or lose their self inside of that video. So the whole premise of this is that like Google and other really Google, I'm just use Google as an example. They're getting involved in figuring out how to do this with their employees. So they're literally putting like a float tanks inside of their facilities, which apparently I've never been in one, but I hear that it is kind of crazy. Like you're floating in salt water or something like that. It almost feels like you're floating through space, or you become like one with your environment. So they're actually encouraging their employees to become one, to operate as one big force. Okay. Now, what I want you guys to kind of, the big takeaway I want you guys to take away from this is like, how can you implement that in your team? How can you implement that in your life? How can you even fall in the cyclone or fall in that sense of being where you literally lose track of time when you're doing your work, because that's when you're going to get the most done. You're going to get the best results. Okay. And I'll tell you guys, when you feel yourself, lose yourself at that sense, stay there as long as possible. You're going to get so much done. And I will tell you guys, usually when it happens to me, that's a question all of us have to answer individually. So when it happens to me, it's when I'm doing something that I just love, like when I'm doing video editing, or when I am. So I like to build the custom templates for our website. So like basically we own our own website development, like Wix or like some of the ones out there. It's a drag and drop interface. It's freaking phenomenal. I'm so proud of it. But I'm the one who actually builds the custom templates. I build them, and then after that, our team takes them over. They reproduce them when somebody purchases them. They put the information's content in there. They change it around, kind of make it custom to the individual. But I'm the one who initially creates the first ones because I freaking love it. I literally sit there, and to me, it's like playing a video game. To me, it's like I just fall into it, and I get so into it that literally I almost can't talk, or I don't see people walking around me, or my wife will try to like tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, what do you want? I'm like, oh, whoa, wait. And I'll literally sit there till the last second that I possibly have to, or that I can, until I stop. Like, I don't want to stop doing it. And so much stuff gets done during that time. I get to the point where literally from scratch, I can build a absolute beautiful, phenomenal template, website template, in probably a couple hours from scratch. And to me, it's just so fun. So I want you to think about that, guys. Like, how can you maintain stay in that field, stay in that zone, right? And if you can't afford to now, I understand it, to like hire people to do the other stuff. But if you can do that, the stuff that's painful to you, put it in somebody else's hands, and then, stay where you can fall into that zone, because that's literally where you're going to serve the world the best. So I'm going to end this podcast by telling you guys, steal that fire, stay in your fire, find your fire. Okay. And then become one with it. And then little by little, take over the world. All right, guys. So anyhow, this right here is another episode of the Marketing Revolution podcast. I appreciate you. We're going to see you on that next one. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the Marketing Revolution podcast. If you know somebody that needs this message, please share it with them. Please write us a 5-star review on iTunes or Stitcher. And remember, everybody wants to eat, but only savage marketers are willing to do the hunt. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.